Hi guys, it's Night Fear, and I have come on today to do my Contemporary-a-Thon Wrap Up. It's a little late, but, better late than never. So, I didn't do so great, as you will see, and I'm going to do this a little different. I'm going to kind of tell you how my week went, and then I'll go over what challenges that the books I read ended up covering. So the first book I read, I started it the day before Contemporary-a-Thon, so it doesn't really count towards that, but I wanted to share it, and since it's a contemporary book, I thought I would share. So it is If I Stay by Gail Forman, and, right? Is this by Gail Forman? Yeah, Gail Forman. And I read this book because I bought the second one, and so I wanted to, of course, read the first one. There we go. So that I could end up reading the second one. So basically, this is about a girl named Mia who has a pretty good life. She is a cello player, and she's thinking about going to Juilliard, and she has a boyfriend named Adam, and she has a best friend named Kim, and her family is pretty good. She has a mom and a dad and her little brother, and so there is a snow day, so they're all off, and they decide to take a drive. I think they're going somewhere, but I can't remember where they're going, and they end up getting into an accident. And we know right away that her mom and dad have passed, because she kind of has an out-of-body experience, and she sees her mom and dad dead. And then she sees herself, and she sees herself being put in an ambulance and taken away to the hospital. And so it kind of goes from there. She is unconscious, but she can still see the people that are visiting her. We get flashbacks from her life before the accident. And basically she gets to decide whether she's going to stay or whether she's going to go. And it was a very powerful book. I really enjoyed it. I'm glad that the Contemporary-a-Thon inspired me to read it. I have not started the second one yet because I've had a lot of other books that I've been trying to get to. But I am planning on reading the second one very soon. So to finish it off and see what happens. So yes. So anyway, so the first day of the Contemporary-a-Thon showed up, and I decided I was going to read The Hate U Give first. I read this on Monday. Now this readathon went from September 17th to the 23rd. So on the 17th, I read this book. I read the whole thing. I think it was like 450 pages, something like that. I read the whole thing that day. I mean, I did say it was by Angie Thomas, didn't I? I hope so. But anyway, so this is a book about Star. And she is 17, I think. I think she's 17, if I remember right. And she goes to this party, and she sees a friend of hers that she hasn't seen in a long time, and she actually grew up with this friend. His name is Khalil. Something happens at the party. They have to leave. She ends up leaving with him, and they end up getting pulled over by an officer. And her friend is not, I wouldn't say a hothead, but he kind of, he's a teenage boy. And so when the officer pulls him over, he kind of has a little bit of an attitude, and the officer drags him out of the car. Things happen, and Khalil gets shot. And of course, Star witnesses this. And so the rest of and that happens at the beginning. It's not a spoiler or anything. So that happens at the very beginning. And so, so the rest of the book is about Star trying to figure out what she tells, who she tells. She, of course, is interviewed by the police, but she is anonymous when she does that. And then things go on, and she's not sure because, of course, if she becomes public with it, then people, people are going to be upset one way or the other. What does she say? What does she not say? And basically it's just about her discovering her voice and what she uses it for. And this book was very powerful to me, especially at the very, very, very end, the very last page. There's a list of names, and one of the names is Trayvon. And some of you may know, some of you may not know, but there was a case, and it's not a police shooting, but there was a case in Florida, and it's happened when I lived there, of Trayvon Martin, and he was a teenager. I can't remember if he was like 17, 18, but he was a teenager, and he was walking through this apartment complex on his way home. He had a hoodie on. He had I believe he had Skittles. If I remember right, it was Skittles and a tea. Was it a tea, Arizona tea, or some kind of drink he had? And he was shot by a man, and the man actually got off for shooting him. And it was because it was a stand your ground case in Florida, and it was ridiculous. But anyway, Trayvon's name was at the end of this book. And what really hit me was because we lived there, and one of my twin boys, he was 13 or 14, I believe, at the time. Of course, we're white as white can be, but I've always taught my kids not to see color, not to, see anything. And the comment that my son made, of course, we don't drive. I haven't had a car in a very long time. And so we walked wherever we went, and we were walking, I think we were walking to Walmart. And my son always, at the time, wore hoodies all the time. And he made the comment that, Mom, I better be careful where I walk, especially having a hoodie on. And it just kind of affected me because even, he didn't understand everything with the case, but he understood it was a kid, and it was, somebody his age, and I remembered it, and it's all these years, and it just, ever since then, I've paid attention when cases like that happen. And also, people need to realize it's not just, officers. It's not just people of color. It's, there's a lot of cases. And since my youngest son has autism, I noticed this. It's also, there's been people with autism that have been shot because the officers don't bother to find out what's going on before they shoot. And there's a lot, there's a lot now that's going on that didn't used to go on. And it's just very sad and very shocking. And I'm going on a tangent, I guess. But I really think that everybody should read this book and maybe understand what somebody goes through that this happens to, or, how things get out of control really fast, and we need to, be mindful of one another. That's the main thing. So, anyway, that's The Hate U Give. Oh, and all the three books that I'm going to be saying, I gave all three of these books 5 stars. So, I found my the kind of contemporary books that I need to read are the more powerful ones, the ones that have a point, the ones that have a kind of an underlying, message, I guess. So, but anyway, so the last book that I read was The Hate List by Jennifer Brown. And this is a book about a girl named Valerie. And we see her going back to school, and her mom is, really fidgety about her going back to school. And then we find out that, because it's her senior year, we find out at the end of her junior year, her boyfriend, Nick, is a school shooter, and he ends up killing himself. And so the book, it goes back and forth from her starting school and dealing with the people at school now, and then what happened, for the school shooting, why it happened, exactly what happened, etc., etc. And the thing of it is people blame her because her and Nick made a hate list. And Nick was always making this list for this purpose, and Valerie was actually just making this list as like kind of a stress reliever type thing, you know, just not for fun, I would say, but like she never meant for this list to do anything. You know, and a lot of us do this. A lot of us, oh, well, I can't stand this person, you know, I wish, you know, blah, blah, blah. And, you know, we don't mean anything when we say that. Well, he meant it. She didn't. And so, but people don't realize that. And they think she had something to do with it. So, you know, it's her seeing a psychologist, and we get to see her, what she goes through, and that she still loves him, and she doesn't understand, you know, why she still loves him. And we kind of see a little bit about what he was going through her eyes. And, you know, and then there's the guilt of, why didn't I see what he was doing? Why didn't I see what he was capable of? There's a little bit of that too. So it's really, I mean, a very powerful book. It makes you think. There's a lot of things about bullying in the book, about, you know, how it's just kind of brushed off, and how it affects people or can affect people. You know, and if you think about it, a lot of kids, when they're bullied, they do one of three things. You know, they kind of become depressed. They, you know, are have some issues such as that. They kill themselves, or they lash out, you know, to other people. So, you know, we need to teach our children that this is not acceptable, and we need to be mindful and not do that also. So anyway, so since I only read technically 2 books for this, I was trying to look and see which ones that this filled. I might say that The Hate List might do the dark. Well, it's supposed to be a dark or spooky book, but they kind of went dark, you know, different ways. So The Hate List might go for that, maybe. The Diverse Challenge, The Hate List, The Hate U Give, definitely fills that challenge. The non-traditional format, I actually listened to The Hate List on audiobook. Oh yeah, and it was an awesome audiobook. New author, both of these authors are new to me, so they both fit that challenge. And then my 5-star prediction was actually The Hate U Give, but both of these books kind of filled that. So I definitely did 4 of the 7 challenges, possibly 5, depending on the dark and spooky book. The 2 that I definitely didn't do was The Orange on the Cover and the Has Initials Anywhere. Now I did start the Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. I'm halfway through. It's okay. It's definitely not a 5-star book, but it's okay. It's just not my, I don't know, it's just not my kind of book, and it's definitely not the kind of book that I'm really in the mood for right now. But I definitely need to get it finished because it's a library book. And I started Small Great Things by Jodi Picoult. Now that one I was really enjoying. I just ran out of time. And it's a long book. I think it's like 500 pages. And so I'm like, I think I'm halfway done with that one. So I'm definitely going to finish that one too. But I'm thinking that one is going to definitely be a 5-star book too. So yeah, I mean, I did okay. I didn't read as much as I wanted to, but you know, at least I did read some contemporary, and I have discovered that I might actually start reading some contemporary. So if you guys have any contemporary that are similar to these, let me know down in the comments if you have any recommendations for ones that would be good or that you think I might like. So I'm definitely going to participate in Contemporary-a-Thon the next time, and hopefully I will do better. And thank you very much. Please remember to be kind to each other, and I will see you next time.